Shocking cheating stories. A wife's betrayal caught on camera. If this story tugs at your heart or makes you question everything, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to Viora for more unforgettable cheating stories that dive deep into the soul of love and betrayal. I never wanted to be the guy who checks his wife's phone. I just wanted to sleep through the night without that gnawing feeling in my chest. But at 2:43 a.m., when her screen lit up with a message that wasn't from me, my world started to crack. This is my cheating wife story, and trust me, nothing could have prepared me for what I found. My name's Ethan Caldwell, a 38-year-old architect with a modest but comfortable life in Portland. My wife, Claire, and I had what most people called a perfect marriage. We met at a coffee shop 8 years ago. Her laugh was the first thing I noticed, bright and unfiltered, like she didn't care who heard it. She was a graphic designer then, freelancing for small businesses, while I was building my firm from the ground up. We weren't billionaires, but we'd done well. Our cozy craftsman home, paid off with my dad's inheritance, was proof of that. 2 cars, a dog named Jasper, and vacations to the coast every summer. Picture perfect, right? That's what I thought too, until the cracks started showing. Claire was my anchor. She'd bring me coffee when I was buried in blueprints, and I'd surprise her with weekend hikes because she loved the way the forest smelled after rain. We weren't just partners, we were a team, or so I believed. About 6 months ago, something shifted. She started coming home late, her hair damp like she'd just showered somewhere else. Work ran long, she'd say, or I grabbed drinks with Jess and Lila, her friends. Always Jess and Lila. But when I asked what they talked about, her answers got vague, short like she was dodging a trap. Just girl stuff, she'd laugh. But her eyes wouldn't meet mine. I'm not the jealous type. I trusted Claire. But doubt is a quiet poison. It creeps in when you notice her phone's always face down now, or when she changes her password after years of sharing it. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was paranoid or if I was losing her. I didn't want to be that guy, the one who snoops, who accuses. But every late night, every half answer, chipped away at my peace. Then came the night that broke me. It was a Thursday, rain tapping against our bedroom window. Claire was asleep, her phone glowing on the nightstand. A notification popped up, and I saw the name, Derek. No last name, just Derek. The message preview read, "Tonight was unreal. Can't stop thinking about you." My stomach dropped. I sat there, frozen, the words burning into me. I wasn't looking for proof. I just wanted to believe it was a mistake. But my hands moved before my brain could stop them. I grabbed her phone, punched in her old password. Thank God she hadn't changed it again, and opened the chat. What I saw wasn't just a cheating wife caught in a moment of weakness. It was a full-blown affair, laid out in texts that made my chest ache. Pictures, flirty emojis, plans to meet at a hotel downtown. Derek wasn't some random guy. He was her personal trainer, the one she'd been working out with 3 times a week. She told me he was helping her get in shape, but the truth was in those messages. Late-night gym sessions that ended in his apartment, not a treadmill. I scrolled until my eyes blurred, each word a knife. "You make me feel alive," she wrote. Alive? What was I then? The guy who paid the bills while she played house with someone else? I didn't scream. I didn't shake her awake. I just sat there, rain drumming outside, feeling like the life I'd built was slipping through my fingers. I've read Reddit cheating stories, thinking they were exaggerated drama, but living one is like drowning in slow motion. Every memory, our wedding, her hand in mine, the way she'd kiss me goodnight, felt like a lie. The next morning, I made coffee like nothing was wrong. Claire breezed into the kitchen, all smiles, talking about her day. I watched her, wondering how she could act so normal. How could she pour cereal and pet Jasper while planning to gut me? Because it wasn't just an affair. Buried in those texts was something worse, a plan. Derek had mentioned a lawyer friend, someone who could make sure she got what she deserved in a divorce. Claire had replied, "I've given him everything. The house, the life. It's mine too. The house my dad left me. The life I'd built." She wasn't just cheating. She was plotting to take it all. I could have confronted her right then, spilled everything over the breakfast table. But rage doesn't win battles. I needed to be smart. So I played along, nodding as she talked, while my mind raced. I started gathering proof. Screenshots of her texts, saved to a hidden folder. Bank statements showing she hadn't contributed to the house payments. My dad's inheritance covered that. Emails where she told friends she chose to quit her job. Not that I forced her. Every piece was a brick in the wall I was building, because I knew this wasn't just a wife affair exposed. It was a betrayal that went deeper than a fling. A week later, I got my first real twist. Claire's friend Jess called me, her voice shaky. "Ethan, I can't keep this up," she said. "Claire's lying to you." Jess wasn't just spilling tea. She was terrified. Turns out, Claire had been feeding her friends a story that I was controlling, that I'd pushed her into quitting her job, that my family was suffocating her. She'd painted me as the villain to justify her affair. But Jess had seen the texts with Derek, heard Claire laugh about securing the bag after the divorce. Jess wasn't loyal to me. She was just tired of Claire's lies. That call was the first crack in Claire's perfect facade. I thanked Jess, hung up, and stared out the window. The maple tree in our yard was turning red, leaves falling like pieces of my old life. I wasn't just hurt. I was angry. Not the kind that screams, but the kind that sharpens you. I contacted a lawyer that same day, a guy named Mark who specialized in divorce cases. He was calm, methodical, exactly what I needed. "We'll protect what's yours," he said, reviewing the screenshots. "But Ethan, this won't be easy. She's building a case against you." Claire's lies were spreading. She'd started posting cryptic things online, vague quotes about freedom and deserving better. Her friends commented, egging her on, not knowing the truth. I saw one post where she called me distant, like I was the one pulling away. It stung, but it also lit a fire. If she wanted to play the victim, I'd let her until the truth came out. One night, I tested her. We were on the couch, some Netflix show droning in the background. I handed her her phone and said, casual as hell, "Hey, you got a text from Derek. Something about a workout." Her face froze, just for a second, before she laughed it off. "Oh, probably about scheduling. He's so pushy." Pushy? The guy she was sneaking off with? I nodded, let it go, but inside I was done. That was the moment I stopped being her husband and started being the guy who'd fight for his life. The next twist came from an unexpected place. Derek's girlfriend. Yeah, you heard that right. Turns out Derek wasn't just a player, he was a professional. A woman named Sarah messaged me on Instagram, her profile full of gym selfies and motivational quotes. "You're Claire's husband, right?" she wrote. "We need to talk." Sarah wasn't just pissed. She was out for blood. Derek had been cheating on her with Claire, and she'd found out the same way I did, through texts. She sent me screenshots, not just of Claire but of other women Derek was stringing along. This guy wasn't just Claire's affair partner. He was a walking red flag, preying on women like her. Sarah's message ended with, "I'm done with him. You should be done with her." I met Sarah at a coffee shop, neutral ground. She was tough, no nonsense, but her hands shook as she showed me the evidence. "Claire thinks she's special," Sarah said. "But Derek's done this before. He picks women who are vulnerable, feeds them lies." Vulnerable? Claire? The woman who'd planned to take my house? But Sarah's words stuck. Maybe Claire wasn't the mastermind. Maybe she was just another piece in Derek's game. It didn't excuse her, but it complicated things. I thanked Sarah, saved her screenshots, and drove home, the city lights blurring through my windshield. Was I fighting Claire, Derek, or both? Back home, Claire was in the kitchen, humming like nothing was wrong. I watched her chop vegetables, her wedding ring glinting under the light. That ring used to mean everything. Now it was just metal. I thought about confronting her, laying out every text, every lie. But I didn't. Not yet. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, deliberate, like a chess move you don't see coming. I was playing the long game and Claire didn't even know the board was set. Every day I added to my arsenal. A recording of her laughing on the phone with Lila bragging about outsmarting me. A receipt from a hotel I'd never been to tucked in her purse. An email from her lawyer friend outlining how she'd claim I'd emotionally neglected her. Emotional neglect? I'd spent years building a life for us while she built a lie. The more I found, the less I felt. Hurt turned to resolve. I wasn't just protecting my assets, I was protecting myself. One night, I couldn't sleep. The rain was back, heavier now, pounding the roof. I sat in my office, staring at a photo of us from our honeymoon. Claire smiled, the ocean behind her. I didn't recognize that woman anymore. I opened my laptop, pulled up Reddit, and scrolled through cheating stories. I wasn't looking for advice, I just wanted to feel less alone. Post after post, people shared their pain, their revenge, their regrets. One stuck with me. I didn't fight for her. I fought for me. That was it. This wasn't about Claire anymore. It was about Ethan Caldwell, the guy who deserved better. The final twist of this part came from Claire herself. She didn't know I was onto her, but she was getting sloppy. One morning, she left her laptop open, an email draft on the screen. It was to her lawyer, detailing how she'd sacrificed her career for me and deserved half of everything. She'd even listed my firm as something she'd helped build, claiming she'd inspired my designs. Inspired? She'd barely glanced at my blueprints. The audacity floored me, but it was also a gift. I screenshotted it, sent it to Mark, and leaned back in my chair. The rain had stopped. For the first time in weeks, I felt clear. I'm not a saint. I've made mistakes, worked too late, missed a few anniversaries, maybe didn't notice when Claire started drifting. But I didn't deserve this. No one does. As I sit here, piecing together the truth, I'm left with a question. When you love someone, how do you know when to fight and when to walk away? Claire's still in the house, still playing the perfect wife, but I see through her now. The question isn't whether I'll confront her. It's how far I'm willing to go to protect what's mine. The clock on my office wall ticked past midnight, its rhythm swallowed by the hum of rain against the window. I sat there, staring at Claire's laptop, the email draft still glowing on the screen. Her words claiming she'd sacrificed, for me, that she deserved my firm, my home, felt like a stranger's. The woman I'd married wouldn't write this. Or maybe I'd never really known her. In the quiet, I made a choice. I wasn't just gathering evidence anymore. I was building a case to take back my life. The next morning, Claire was in the kitchen, sipping coffee, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked so normal, so untouched by the storm she'd started. "You're up early," she said, smiling like we were still us. I nodded, my throat tight, and poured myself a cup. Every move felt like a performance now, a dance to keep her from suspecting I knew about her cheating wife story. But inside, I was cataloging everything, her tone, her glance, the way her fingers lingered on her phone. Derek's name hadn't popped up again, but I wasn't fooled. She was too careful now, her phone locked tighter than a vault. I met Mark, my lawyer, at a diner across town. The place smelled of grease and burnt coffee, but it was private, away from Claire's orbit. Mark spread out the evidence I'd sent him, screenshots, receipts, Jess's testimony, Sarah's texts. "This is solid, Ethan," he said, tapping the folder. "Her affair's clear, and her claims about your business? Laughable. The house is untouchable, your dad's will is ironclad." He leaned back, his eyes sharp. "But she's not done. She's meeting with her lawyer tomorrow." My contact saw her name on their schedule. Tomorrow. The word landed like a punch. She wasn't just cheating, she was accelerating her plan to gut me. I drove home, the city a blur of gray and neon. A memory hit me, Claire and me, 3 years ago, dancing in our living room to some old jazz record. Her head on my shoulder, her laugh soft against my neck. Was that a lie too? I've read cheating stories on Reddit, seen people talk about the moment they realized their partner was a stranger. I didn't get it until now. The Claire I loved was gone, or maybe she'd never existed. That night I set a trap. Nothing dramatic, just a test to see how deep her lies ran. I left my laptop open on the dining table, a fake email drafted to Mark about selling the firm to cover debts. It was a lie I'd never sell, but I wanted to see if she'd bite. Claire was in the shower, her phone buzzing on the counter. I didn't touch it. I'd learned my lesson, she'd changed her password again. But I watched her later, curled up on the couch, scrolling through her tablet. Her eyes flicked to my laptop just for a second. Then she asked, casual as anything, "You okay, babe? You seem stressed." Stressed. Like she cared. I shrugged, said work was tough, and waited. By morning, I had my answer. Mark called me. "Her lawyer just requested financial records for your firm," he said. "They're claiming you're hiding assets." Hiding assets? The audacity made my blood boil. She'd seen my fake email and jumped on it, thinking she'd caught me slipping. It was proof she wasn't just planning a divorce, she was hunting for leverage. This wasn't just a wife affair exposed. It was a calculated betrayal, and I was done playing nice. I needed more than screenshots now. I needed her to slip up in a way that couldn't be denied. So I turned to tech. A friend from college, Nate, ran a cybersecurity firm. Over beers at a quiet bar, I told him everything, not the emotional mess, just the facts. I need something discreet, I said. Nothing illegal, just insight. Nate raised an eyebrow but didn't judge. I can get you a tracker, he said. Plugs into her car's diagnostic port. Shows where she goes, retime. No hacking, no laws broken. I hesitated. Was I crossing a line? But then I thought of her texts with Derek, her email to her lawyer, and nodded. Do it. Installing the tracker was easier than I thought. Claire was at yoga that evening, code for Derek, I was sure. I popped the device into her car's port hidden under the dashboard. By midnight, my phone pinged with data. Her yoga studio was a condo downtown, one I recognized from Sarah's screenshots. Derek's place. I sat in my car, rain streaking the windshield, watching the tracker's pulse on my screen. It wasn't just proof of her cheating wife caught moment, it was a map of her lies. The next twist came faster than I expected. Claire's friend Lila, the one who cheered her cryptic posts, messaged me out of the blue. Ethan, we need to talk. Not on the phone. We met at a park, the air crisp with fall. Lila looked nervous, her scarf twisted in her hands. I didn't know it was this bad, she said. Claire's been lying to everyone. She told us you were controlling, that you pushed her out of her career. But I found something. She handed me a USB drive. She asked me to back up her laptop. I saw emails, plans. She's not just leaving you, Ethan. She's trying to ruin you. Back home, I plugged in the USB. The emails were a goldmine and a gut punch. Claire had been emailing a blogger, someone who ran a divorce empowerment site, pitching her story as a victim of emotional neglect. She'd fabricated details claiming I'd belittled her dreams, isolated her from friends, even hinted I'd been unfaithful first. Unfaithful? Me? The irony burned. She'd also sent her lawyer a draft affidavit swearing she'd been the backbone of my firm, entitled to half its profits. Every word was a lie, but she'd crafted it so carefully it almost sounded true. I forwarded everything to Mark, my hands shaking. He called me within the hour. This is dynamite, he said. She's building a narrative, but it's flimsy. We can counter every claim, your firm's records, her own emails, the tracker data. But Ethan, she's escalating. My contact says she's meeting Derek tomorrow, not at his place. At a law office. A law office. The pieces clicked. She wasn't just cheating, she was aligning her affair with her legal strategy. Derek wasn't just her lover, he was her accomplice. I didn't sleep that night. The tracker showed Claire's car at Derek's condo until 3 a.m. When she slipped into bed, I lay still, her perfume sharp with someone else's scent. I wanted to shake her, demand answers, but I held back. Revenge cheating wife stories on Reddit always talk about the big confrontation, the shouting match that feels good but changes nothing. I wasn't that guy. I was the one who'd win by staying calm, by letting her think she was in control. The next day, I followed the tracker. Not physically, I wasn't reckless, but through the app. Her car moved from our house to a sleek office building downtown, one with glass walls and a sign for a law firm. I pictured her inside, sitting across from Derek, spinning her lies. My phone buzzed. It was Sarah, Derek's ex. He's at a lawyer's office, she texted. I tracked his phone too. Want me to dig deeper? I hesitated. Sarah was a wild card, driven by her own anger. But I needed allies. Yes, I replied. But be careful. Sarah delivered that evening. She'd sweet-talked a receptionist at the law firm, posing as a client. Claire and Derek had met with a divorce attorney, not just any lawyer but one known for high-stakes cases. The receptionist overheard Claire mention preparing for a fight and Derek promising to back her up. Back her up? What was he, her character witness? The thought made me laugh, bitter and sharp. Derek, the serial cheater, vouching for her in court. It was absurd, but it was also dangerous. If Claire could sell her story, she might sway a judge. I needed to up my game. Mark suggested a private investigator, someone discreet who could dig into Derek's past. If he's as shady as Sarah says, Mark explained, we can discredit him before he steps into court. I agreed, and within 48 hours, the PI, a guy named Vince, had a file. Derek wasn't just a trainer, he was a con artist with a trail of broken hearts and lawsuits. 3 women before Claire, all wealthy, all divorced, all claiming he'd manipulated them into legal battles that left them broke. He wasn't in love with Claire. He was using her, just like he'd used the others. The PI even found a photo of Derek at a bar, arm around another woman, timestamped 2 nights ago. While Claire was planning my downfall, Derek was already moving on. I should have felt vindicated, but I didn't. I felt hollow. Claire wasn't a mastermind, she was a pawn in Derek's game, too blinded by his charm to see it. Part of me wanted to warn her, to save her from him. But then I remembered her emails, her lies, the way she'd laughed about outsmarting me. She'd chosen this. She'd chosen him. And now she'd face the consequences. The next twist hit like a freight train. Jess, Claire's friend who'd tipped me off, showed up at my office, her face pale. "Ethan, you need to see this." She pulled out her phone, showing a group chat with Claire and Lila. Claire had sent a message that morning. "Ethan's slipping. He left his laptop open, says he's selling the firm. We push now, we win." The chat exploded with emojis, Lila cheering her on. But Jess wasn't cheering. "I can't do this," she told me. "She's not just lying to you. She's lying to us. She said you were abusive, Ethan." I believed her at first. "But you're not that guy." Jess's words were a lifeline, but they also cut deep. Abusive? Claire had built a whole myth around me and her friends had bought it. I thanked Jess, saved the chat, and sent it to Mark. Every piece of evidence was another step toward freedom, but it didn't feel like winning. It felt like dismantling a life I'd loved. That night, I confronted Claire, not with screams, but with silence. We were eating dinner, the clink of forks loud in the quiet. I set my phone on the table, a screenshot of her group chat glowing on the screen. "Care to explain this?" I asked, my voice low. Her fork froze midair. For a second, I saw panic in her eyes, raw and real. Then she laughed, shaky, and said, "What's this, Ethan? You're spying on me now." Spying. Like I was the one sneaking around. I didn't raise my voice. I just read the chat aloud, word for word, her own words about pushing and winning. Her face crumpled, but she didn't cry. She just stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "I was joking," she finally said, her voice small. "It's just talk, Ethan. You know me." "Know her?" I thought I did. I leaned back, folding my arms. "Then explain, Derek," I said. Her mouth opened, then closed. Silence. For the first time, Claire had no excuse, no lie to spin. I didn't push. I just stood, left the table, and walked upstairs. The air felt heavy, like the house itself was holding its breath. She didn't follow me. I heard her cleaning dishes, the clatter loud and frantic like she could scrub away the truth. I sat on the bed, staring at our wedding photo on the nightstand. The glass was dusty, forgotten. I've heard Infidelity Storytime videos talk about the moment you stop loving someone. It's not a snap, it's a slow bleed. That night, I felt it, love draining away, replaced by something colder, sharper. Resolve. The next morning, Claire was gone when I woke up. A note on the counter read, "Need space. Be back tomorrow." Space. Like she was the one hurting. The tracker showed her car at Derek's condo. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I called Mark instead. "She's with him," I said. "What's our next move?" Mark was calm, like always. "We file," he said. "Not yet, but soon. Let her think she's winning. The more she moves, the more she exposes." I spent the day digging deeper. Vince, the PI, sent me more on Derek, a police report from 2 years ago, a woman claiming he'd stolen jewelry after their breakup. No charges filed, but it was another crack in his armor. I also found Claire's old blog, one she'd abandoned years ago. She'd written about our early days, calling me her safe harbor. Reading it now felt like a punch. Had she ever meant it? Or was I just a stepping stone to something else? Sarah called that afternoon, her voice sharp. "Derek's planning to leave town," she said. I hacked his email, not proud, but whatever. He's got a flight booked next week. One way. He's ditching Claire. Ditching her. Part of me wanted to laugh. Claire thought she was playing me, but Derek was playing her. I thanked Sarah, saved the email, and leaned back in my chair. The maple tree outside was bare now, its leaves a red carpet on the lawn. Fall was here, and so was the end of us. I didn't tell Claire I knew about Derek's plans. I let her come home the next day, her eyes red, her smile forced. "I'm sorry about the note," she said, touching my arm. "I just needed to think. Think. With Derek." I nodded, let her talk, but I was done listening. Every word was a performance, and I was tired of the show. That night, I moved my things to the guest room. She didn't protest. The house felt bigger, colder, like we were already strangers. The final twist of this part came from an unexpected source, my mom. She'd never liked Claire, always said her smile was too perfect. I hadn't listened, love makes you blind. But she called me, her voice soft but firm. "Ethan, I found something in your dad's old files." She sent me a scanned document, a letter from my dad written before he died. It wasn't just a will, it was a declaration. He'd left the house to me, explicitly stating it was for my son's future, not to be shared or divided. He'd even mentioned Claire by name, saying he trusted me to protect what's ours. My dad had seen something in her I hadn't. The letter was a shield, one I hadn't known I needed. I sat with that letter, rain starting again outside. Claire was downstairs, laughing on the phone, probably with Lila, plotting her next move. But I had mine. Mark was ready to file, Vince was tailing Derek, and Sarah was feeding me updates. Claire thought she was steps ahead, but she was walking into a trap of her own making. I wasn't just fighting for my house or my firm. I was fighting for the truth about who I was, who she'd become, and what we'd lost. As I write this, I'm staring at the guest room ceiling, the house quiet except for the rain. Claire's asleep in our old bedroom, oblivious to the storm coming. I could confront her now, lay out every lie, every text, every plan. But I won't. Not yet. This cheating story isn't over. It's mine to finish, and when I do, it won't be with shouts or tears. It'll be with the truth, sharp and undeniable. The question isn't whether I'll win. It's what I'll do with the pieces of me that are left. What would you hold on to if your world fell apart? The guest room was dark, the rain a steady whisper against the window. I lay there, the weight of my dad's letter in my hand, its words echoing, protect what's ours. Downstairs, Claire's laughter had faded, replaced by the hum of the dishwasher. She thought she was winning, weaving her web of lies with Derek, her lawyer, her friends. But webs break, and I was holding the scissors. This wasn't just a cheating wife story anymore. It was about who I'd become when the truth finally stepped into the light. Morning came, gray and heavy. Claire was in the kitchen, her phone glued to her hand, texting with that guarded focus I'd come to recognize. Big day? I asked, pouring coffee, my voice light. She flinched just a fraction before flashing a smile. Just work stuff, she said. Work. The word was a lie, and we both knew it. The tracker app on my phone showed her car at Derek's condo last night, not her office. But I didn't call her out. I sipped my coffee, watching her, and planned my next move. Mark, my lawyer, called as I drove to work. She's pushing hard, he said. Her lawyer filed a motion claiming you coerced her into quitting her job. They're asking for alimony and a stake in your firm. Coerced? Alimony? The audacity made my grip tighten on the steering wheel. She's got nothing, I said. Mark's voice was steady. She's got a story, Ethan. That's enough to make noise. But we've got more, your dad's letter, the emails, the tracker data. And Vince just sent me something new. Vince, the PI. I pulled into my office parking lot, the city a blur of mist and steel. What is it? I asked. Mark paused. Derek's not just a con artist. He's got a record. Fraud 2 years ago. Slapped with probation. If he testifies for her, we'll tear him apart. Fraud. The word landed like a spark. Derek wasn't just playing Claire, he was a professional, a predator who'd slipped through the cracks. I thanked Mark, hung up, and opened Vince's email. The file was thin but damning, a court document detailing Derek's scam, convincing a woman to invest in a fake fitness brand. She'd lost thousands, and he'd walked away with a fine. The report included a mugshot, Derek's smirk staring back at me. I saved it, my pulse steady. Claire thought she had an ally. She had a liability. At the office, I buried myself in blueprints, but my mind was elsewhere. Claire's lies were piling up, her affidavit, her blog posts, her group chats. But lies need believers, and her circle was cracking. Jess had turned on her, Lila was wavering, and Sarah, Derek's ex, was a wildfire burning through his secrets. I texted Sarah asking for an update. Her reply was instant, he's meeting Claire tonight. Hotel downtown. I've got a friend who works there. Want me to get proof? Proof. Another photo, another text, another nail in Claire's coffin. Yes, I replied, but keep it clean. Sarah didn't need to break laws, her anger was enough. That evening, I tested Claire again. She was packing a gym bag, her movements quick, distracted. Late workout? I asked, leaning against the doorframe. Her eyes flicked to mine, then away. Yeah, Derek's got a new routine, she said, zipping the bag. Derek. His name in her mouth felt like a blade. I nodded, let her leave, and checked the tracker. Her car didn't go to the gym. It went to the Meridian Hotel, a sleek tower downtown. Sarah's friend, a bartender, sent me a grainy photo an hour later, Claire and Derek in the lobby, her hand on his arm, his smile too close. I saved it, my chest tight. This wasn't just a wife affair exposed. It was a performance, and I was done being the audience. The next twist came from Lila. She showed up at my office unannounced, her face drawn, her scarf gone, replaced by a nervous twitch. I'm done lying for her, she said, sitting across from me. Claire's out of control. She's telling everyone you're hiding money, that you're cheating too. Cheating? The accusation was so absurd I almost laughed. She's desperate, Lila continued. She knows Jess talked to you. She's paranoid, Ethan. Last night, she asked me to lie in court, say you pressured her to quit her job. I can't do it. Lila's voice broke, and for a moment I saw the cost of Claire's lies, not just to me but to everyone she'd dragged into her story. I thanked Lila, recorded our conversation with her consent, and sent it to Mark. Another brick in my wall. Claire's paranoia was her undoing. She started slipping, leaving her tablet unlocked, forgetting to clear her browser history. I found searches: how to prove emotional neglect in divorce, can inherited property be divided, best divorce lawyers Portland. She was scrambling, but she was also cocky. One night, I overheard her on the phone with her lawyer, her voice low but clear through the bedroom door. "He doesn't suspect anything," she said. "I've got this. Got this." The words fueled me. She thought I was blind, but I was 3 steps ahead. Mark and I met again, this time at his office, a cramped space stacked with files. He laid out our strategy. "We don't file yet," he said. "We let her make the first move. She's overplaying her hand, her claims are bold, but they're shaky. The tracker, the emails, Lila's testimony, Derek's record, it's a house of cards. When she files, we counter hard." I nodded, but a question gnawed at me. "What if she stops?" I asked. "What if she comes clean?" Mark leaned back, his eyes sharp. "Do you want her to? After everything?" I didn't answer. The truth was, I didn't know. Part of me still saw the Claire from our honeymoon, her laugh, her hand in mine. But that Claire was gone, buried under lies. Sarah's next message changed everything. "Derek's gone," she texted, late one night. "Flight left this morning." He didn't tell Claire. I stared at the words, rain tapping the window. Sarah sent a screenshot of Derek's email, a confirmation for a one-way ticket to Miami. He ditched Claire, just as Sarah predicted, leaving her to face the fallout alone. I should have felt triumphant, but I didn't. I felt pity. Claire had bet everything on Derek, and he'd played her like a cheap card. I checked the tracker. Her car was at the hotel again, probably waiting for him. She didn't know he was gone. I could have let her spiral, let her discover Derek's betrayal on her own. But I didn't. Not out of kindness, but strategy. I needed her off balance for what came next. So I left a note on her car, anonymous, typed, "Check Derek's email. He's not coming back." I slipped it under her wiper blade, rain soaking my jacket, and drove away. By morning, Claire was a wreck. She came home at dawn, her eyes swollen, her voice hoarse. "We need to talk," she said, standing in the kitchen. Talk. Now she wanted to talk. I sat across from her, my coffee cold. "What's up?" I asked, calm, like I hadn't orchestrated her panic. She fidgeted, her wedding ring glinting under the light. I made a mistake," she said. "Derek, he's not who I thought." I was confused, Ethan. I felt trapped. Trapped. The word was a slap. Trapped how? I asked, my voice steady. She stumbled, her story unraveling, excuses about loneliness, about me working too much, about Derek, listening to her. She didn't mention the lawyer, the affidavit, the lies. She thought she could cry her way out, play the victim one last time. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just said, "You're lying, Claire. I know everything." Her face froze, the color draining. "What do you mean?" she whispered. I pulled out my phone, opened a single screenshot, her group chat, bragging about winning. I didn't need to show more. That one image was enough. She stared at it, her breath shallow, then looked at me. "Ethan, I'm sorry," she said, tears spilling. "Sorry." The word was empty, a reflex. I stood, walked to the door, and said, "You'll hear from my lawyer." Her sobs followed me out, but I didn't look back. Mark filed the next day. Divorce papers served to Claire at her office, a co-working space she barely used. I didn't ask for alimony or revenge. I asked for the house, my firm, my life. Claire's lawyer pushed back, claiming emotional neglect, but Mark was ready. At the first hearing, he presented the basics: my dad's letter, bank records proving I'd funded the house, emails showing Claire's voluntary career break. The judge, a woman with sharp eyes, raised an eyebrow at Claire's lawyer. "This is thin," she said. "Come back with something real." Claire didn't. Her case crumbled faster than I expected. Lila testified, admitting Claire had asked her to lie. Jess submitted a written statement detailing Claire's manipulation. Sarah, unasked, sent the court Derek's fraud record, painting him as the opportunist he was. The tracker data never came up, Mark didn't need it. Claire's own words, her emails, her chats were her downfall. She took the stand, her voice trembling, claiming she'd been lost, that I'd neglected her. But Mark cross-examined, calm and surgical, reading her texts with Derek aloud. The courtroom went silent, her lies exposed like a wound. The judge ruled in my favor. The house was mine, untouchable. My firm, untouched. No alimony, no settlement. Claire got her car, her savings, and a warning from the judge about frivolous claims. She left the courtroom alone, her lawyer scrambling to keep up. I didn't watch her go. I signed the papers, thanked Mark, and walked out into the Portland rain, free but not whole. Claire's fall was public thanks to her own posts. Her empowerment blog backfired when someone, Sarah, I suspect, leaked the court details online. Comments flooded in, calling her out, her friends unfollowing one by one. Her last post was a vague apology, something about learning from mistakes. I didn't read it. I didn't need to. Her world was collapsing, and I wasn't part of it anymore. I moved back into the master bedroom, Jasper curling up at my feet. The house felt different, quieter, but not empty. I started running again, the trails behind our house slick with mud. I worked on new designs, my firm thriving despite Claire's attempts to claim it. Jess and Lila reached out, apologizing, but I kept my distance. They weren't my friends. They were witnesses to a life I'd left behind. One night, months later, I found an old photo in a drawer. Claire and me, laughing at a street fair, her hair catching the sunlight. I didn't throw it away. I didn't keep it out either. I tucked it back, closed the drawer, and walked outside. The maple tree was budding again, green against the dusk. I thought about love, about trust, about the lies we tell ourselves to keep going. I'd won, but at what cost? My silence had been my weapon, but it had also been my cage. I'd protected my life, but I hadn't healed. I've read Reddit cheating stories, heard the cheers for revenge, the calls for forgiveness. But real life isn't a post. It's messier, grayer. I don't hate Claire. I don't love her either. I'm just here, standing in the aftermath, wondering what comes next. Did I do the right thing, staying quiet, letting the truth fight for me? Or did I lose something greater by not shouting her lies to the world? I don't know. Maybe you do. This cheating story isn't just mine. It's a mirror. What would you have done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if this hit you hard. And subscribe to Viora for more stories that cut deep and make you think. Because love, betrayal, and truth, they're never as simple as they seem.